Yeah, we've always had really good shows here. The first time we ever came was a support slot for Depeche Mode, and we didn't even have an album out or anything. So yeah, we were really quite nervous, but people were really kind to us, and it feels like there's a really big appetite for live music here. So yeah, we're really lucky.
Actually, no, it's a shame. It's that after all this time, we only ever really see the show and then the hotel and then we're out. But I'd love to, because when we're driving place to place, it looks like a really beautiful country.
Well, and I think that's, in theory, the really nice thing about festivals is that we get here and we're like, maybe you'd see like some local acts as well. But we drove from Germany, so we got here and now we're doing chat, so no fun for us. So any tips? We will take tips and recommendations. Until 3:30 a.m. and then we have to drive back. Well, I guess we're about, what, a month and a half into playing shows again, so I feel like this is a good point to see the show, because we've rehearsed it enough, but we're still kind of, I don't know, it still feels quite fresh, so I think it'll be good.
Yeah, I think we're playing like a handful of new songs, so we're also playing like a good selection from our first two albums as well. So I feel like you know, fans won't be too disappointed by this album.
Yeah, it was very encouraging. I guess like that's the thing, is that when you're making the music, you can only know if we like it and if we feel like connected to it. And then when you're playing it live, you're like, ooh. But no, it was really encouraging. Like, people have definitely found their songs on the records, and I think that's so interesting, especially when you look at like streaming statistics or whatever. Like, it's not necessarily always the singles that are the biggest ones on the record. So then it's kind of cool that you see which ones are resonating with people and what you should put in the live show. And yeah, we're really lucky. We have quite a hardcore fan base. So, and not all bands get that. So.
Not particularly. I guess we just curate the set list based on what we think will go down well in a particular place. But having streaming stats is really useful, because you can see that sometimes there's a song that people have really taken into their hearts in one country that maybe hasn't connected in another. So you'll shine a light on that song for that show.
Well, I guess we knew that it was going to be quite a bold theatrical title, but it kind of made sense to us to name the songs as a collection, you know? And it kind of starts the thought process rather than saying adamantly one thing or the other, I think.
I don't think we were listening to anything in particular. We were using a very specific set of synthesizers and tools, and I guess we've always lent into that in a way. This album was intended to be more live in every way, rougher around the edges than anything we'd ever done. But more than that, it was just about, as it always is with us, exploration and trying to excite each other in the studio and trying to have something to bounce off of, to write in the moment. And then the way these songs end up is just kind of the sum of our tastes more than anything else, our creativity, you know.
Well, normally we'll just kind of start writing in the studio, and Ian and Martin will be playing things on keyboards or testing out rhythms and things like that, and then we'll get a rough sketch of the song with a vocal melody on it, and then the lyrics go on last. I think it kind of varies. Like, sometimes these guys will have ideas that they've been recording roughly at home and they'll bring those into the studio, but normally the writing and recording process are kind of one thing, because we'll be demoing as we're going along.
It's always a little bit, there's always a little bit of nerves just before we put an album out, but I think we don't really tend to think too much about how it's going to be received. I think we're more just keen on following our own nose, and as Martin says, following our own tastes. And you know, if people love it, then that's great. And then that excites, what excites us will hopefully excite other people too.
I think there's an element in that when you're writing because it's part of your personality, but it's not something I consciously think about. I think when you're writing lyrics, it's just important to be honest and communicate about things. And you know, we're lucky enough that there's a lot of young people that like our band and a lot of young women that like our band. So I think it's important to be aware of that when you're doing things, you know. But I don't know. I think it's interesting. I wonder in like 10 years, because how people will talk about those things. Because there's never a man in a band that gets called outspoken. Do you know what I mean? So I'm like, time will pass and then we'll figure it out, I guess. Well, yeah, but I think that that's what's important, is to be like listening to people. And, you know, we don't think about gender when we're writing or when we're recording or when we're hanging out together. But then as soon as we go into a promo cycle, we talk pretty much constantly about gender. So I don't know, I think it makes the touring better because it's a more representative version of society, you know? Like we have a female tour manager and we have a good mix of people, so it's not all men, which is what most of music festivals and the music industry is. So, yeah. Yeah, well, I guess we're playing a lot of festivals over the summer, so we're doing that, and there will be some other things coming to light, which we can't tell you about yet, but no, it's good. We're going to be busy, but productive.